too into it. I've never attempted a reconciliation, so
Sure.
since Elaine's doing this, it's only one person who can do that?
Yeah, so
So
it's
if
consensus.
7 people all feel, unsure about this thing, whoever happens to put their hand up first is the one that sort of becomes representative of that perspective, and if she agrees with whoever,
Yeah.
then we're all kind of like, we have to go
You can
along with
join.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so ideally, in the discussion portion, something that's really not good for anybody is for us to talk through a proposal, seems like it's going well, maybe there's a concern or two, maybe we offer an amendment, we're like, all right, feeling good about this, and then the chair asks any calls for reconciliation, and someone reconciles it, and everybody just sits there like, what?
Just add.
And this doesn't happen regularly, and I don't want to implicate anybody, but that's just a really negative vibe. It's not good. So ideally, it should be totally understood that it's going to be reconciled. So in this case, Andy has made it like incredibly clear that there is a violation of ordinance. So has Nick. Other people have cited other concerns. If you had to just project upon people how they would vote, I would think Tyler's going to vote no. Other people have voiced concerns. Julie probably isn't a fan. I saw some serious thumbs down over here. So you're kind of understanding this isn't going to pass. If it were more ambiguous, it's totally appropriate for someone to say so is somebody going to call us for reconciliation, or so do people like this, and that's where a straw poll is so helpful. So here it's very clear. And if you felt passionately maybe you really want this to go through, and maybe there's just a few problems you want to tease out, then you may be a perfect person to call it reconciliation. And if you are really against it and you're not hearing anybody else call to reconciliation, you gotta do it. So that's sort of how that works. But anybody can be involved in the reconciliation committee. So just because you weren't the one to say, I call it to reconciliation, doesn't mean you can't play a part in making it better. Cool. Any other questions about this? Yeah.
This is that work too, if you do the reading beforehand and you know who the author of the proposal is, or even talking to Maya, if you can't reach the author, and if it has anything to do with me or staff, I really want you to call me before the board meeting. We don't have to agree on anything, but just knowing your passions about whatever we're talking about would be great, and then I can therefore be prepared for that and really balance that and really factor it in. It's happened a couple times in my year here where I thought I was pretty surprised by a person choosing to bring it to reconciliation. That is a morale. It really affects morale.
Yeah.
To me. So for me, and I think it goes for everybody at this table, just based on a day with you, call each other and try to talk about it before. But that's not always possible, so I have to respect that.
Right, and it's not to say that you can't oppose. Absolutely, you
Absolutely.
could have the same emotions about this proposal and, be totally, diametrically opposed to it and everything it stands for, but teasing those concerns out beforehand just is so helpful. And for efficiency's sake, reconciliation takes, another meeting, some more energy, have to present it at the board again. If it's a change, that could be made before the board meeting, and then you'd be okay with the proposal, or you'd even like it, that would be so great. So just putting that out there. Yeah.
Just a question, but in a case where, this, again, clearly ridiculous mock
Right.
proposal, a lot of fun. Thank you, Maya. When clearly people are mostly against it, I think reconciliation in this model of decision making is really the only way to, once we've rejected the call for rejection, is the only way to not pass it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it's if you gotta throw yourself in front of it,
Oh, yeah.
and it seems like the majority of the board is with you, you got it, yeah.
Totally. And this, again, isn't something, this kind of dissent isn't typical, because normally this has gone through various channels. It's been emailed to board reps, they've talked about it with their houses, etc. So yeah, obviously not typical, but valuable in and of itself. So yes, definitely oppose stuff if you oppose it. There's not going to be a problem. It's more about voicing those concerns in discussion and before the meeting. The problem comes when people don't voice their concerns and then call the proposal to reconciliation. Because part of consensus isn't just all agreeing, it's all voicing how we feel, and if we all happen to agree, then the thing gets adopted. Cool. Andy?
Yeah, and again, try to call for rejection before it gets to reconciliation, because it'll save you the trip at a reconciliation meeting if something is like this bad.
If it's really asinine, yeah. If it's totally outrageous and for whatever reason somehow got past Coco, then yeah, do that, because you don't want to have a silly proposal returned to the board. Great. Cool, okay, so we were gonna call it to reconciliation, or I was gonna ask that anyway. So, okay, seeing no further discussion, maybe we ran out of time, for whatever case, are there any calls to reconciliation?
Yeah, I call it.
Okay. So Elena, and the writers of the proposal and any interested party should set up a meeting. And we will, does anybody on the board desire to impose a deadline for the return of this proposal to the board?
Yes.
Great. What deadline do you propose? Okay. What is it? I'm pretty sure we vote on this. I think it's half. We'll go with majority. So, great. Anik has proposed that this proposal in its amended form, in its reconciled form, return to the board at the next board meeting. All in favor of that deadline, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All opposed? Abstentions? Great. So this proposal shall be reconciled and returned to the board at our May 18th board meeting. Thank you, everyone. Excellent. So at this point in the board meetings, we always have a break. It's typically 10 or 15 minutes, and we've oscillated back and forth between having snacks and not having snacks. We can discuss whether that is, and maybe someone wants to have a brainstorm about that. Yeah, Andy?
Yeah, so after call to reconciliation, it's in the yearbook 1.5.
Oh, sure. Are you gonna say strong concerns?
No, not strong
Okay,
concerns.
guys.
You can vote by 2/3 of the board to bring it back to the next board meeting.
Oh, 2/3, okay.
Yes.
So I thought it was half, doesn't matter, because all of the board reps voted in favor, but thank you. So 2/3 for the future,
Yes, thank you.
creating deadlines. Awesome. So that's a point of order. Just, yeah.
Point of order. Also, another point of order, if this was like time of the issue, we're only gonna get this deal for the week, you could call for immediate reconciliation of this proposal.
Right, sure. Cool, thanks. Yeah, such a steal, 800 grand. Cool. Alrighty, so do we want to take a 1-minute stretch break? No? Okay, cool. We'll move through. This is very quick. The rest of these items are very quick. Okay, so seeing no break, who wants to write the board meeting summary and disseminate it to the board rep? So what you would do in this instance, and I can send you a template or an example, you'll get one in the April 20th minutes actually, a beautiful one written by whatever. So thank you, we'll figure it out.
Sure.
Typically, you would summarize each agenda item. Interest in House reports is quite complicated to summarize, so it usually doesn't make it in there. But you would explain in 3 to 5 sentences the discussion we just had. You would say that the Jacuzzi proposal was called to reconciliation. You would give contact information for whoever wrote it and say, if you want to attend the reconciliation meeting, here is so-and-so's contact info. We obviously didn't talk about much in this meeting, so there's not really much that you would write in the summary, but in other instances, we've had presentations at meetings, so you would quickly summarize, Cindy from Major Maintenance came in and gave a presentation, Jeff came in and talked about Gregory, here's an update on the VPs, so-and-so was elected, we have this going on DivCom, it's really exciting, things like that. So, in this fictitious board meeting, you don't actually have to do this. Is there somebody who, Margaret, thank you so much, volunteers to write the board meeting summary. So Margaret would write that ideally within 24 hours or so, just so it's fresh in her mind, and so that then board reps, it's also an efficiency thing, right? So we could all individually write our own board meeting summary, or we could just delegate it and circulate it to all the houses, which I think has been effective for most folks.
Is this something that we would use the minute takers notes for, or we would just use our own memory of?
So in the past, it hasn't been using the minutes. Basically, I think people have found it to be quicker just to recreate it like right after the meeting. And also minutes go, so the minute taker usually takes a day or so, maybe a little more to edit, and then I edit. So it kind of takes a while. And this is like a very quick and dirty kind of summary. So yeah, typically not using the minutes. Okay, yeah, Andy.
I have to amend that whole thing about what I said about reconciliation first.
Oh,
Okay, so here's what happens when it goes according to the rules in the book.
cool.
Once there's the call for reconciliation, The first thing that'll happen is, well, you can call for a vote of whether you want to bring the original proposal back to the second meeting without even having a reconciliation meeting. So you can call for that. That's what 1.5.4.3 says.
Okay,
Um,
not sure why you.
yeah, it's really weird.
I guess that's like another way of
yeah,
rejecting it.
It's a way of rejecting
essentially,
it,
yeah.
essentially. The second thing you can do is you can call for immediate reconciliation. If none of those things happen, it's up to the original writer of the proposal to either bring it back at the next meeting or at the latest, the second meeting that's coming up. So not
Okay.
like, not the next meeting, but the meeting after that. If you have irreconcilable differences, like after you have your reconciliation meeting, the original proposal comes back.
Right,
Yes.
okay, great.
That's-
Thank you for that update. Okay, and sorry folks, this is all over the place.
Sorry.
No, that's incredibly helpful and would even probably be appropriate in.
There's
a
no
regular-
vote on when to bring it back.
There's no,
There's no vote according to this on when to bring it back.
okay, that could be, the PowerPoint we presented could be taken from Robert's rules and not from our standing rules. But our standing rules dictate how we as an ICC run meetings, so that's what Andy said goes. Cool, so just FYI, this like kind of weird jumping in on stuff is very much for your information, it's really beneficial. This can't happen in normal board meetings, I'm not like a tyrant, but the idea of like all these voices coming from everywhere, we do keep the stack and it is like pretty orderly. That said, like feel free to raise your hand and we'll let you talk, it's just jumping in, makes things go a little slower, but for this purpose, it's highly important and good. So cool. Alright, so Margaret, thank you so much, offered to write the board meeting summary. Now we're moving into brainstorm, so if people feel comfortable proposing brainstorm, great. Eric, anybody else, brainstorm? Okay, cool, so Eric gets all 5 minutes for his brainstorm.
So, since we didn't do the jacuzzi proposal, I'd like to run some other ideas to improve ICC members' dating lives.
Any
Not really.
ideas? How about social events in general, let's just say. Cool, yeah.
I think, you know, it was a lot of fun the last time we had like a big fancy dress dance thing. I think we could do one more, like maybe do like one of those per semester, or I think that'd be a really fun thing. And you have a time?
Oh, and I'm running staff. Any other? Okay, thank you. Oh, Maya.
Oh, I don't know, I was trying to think of something, but then I realized I was thinking of prom, and that's exactly what you just said. Okay.
But you could say like, you know, how about instead of like, make it like an annual prom,
Yeah,
right?
we should have a prom,
Julie.
ICC prom.
Maybe we can provide picnic baskets and picnic cloths for people tomorrow so that they can go on dates and pack romantic picnics. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you, Eric. Any other brainstorms? It appears that we have 2 more minutes. Yeah, Patrick.
Well, I think since we didn't talk about Emily's concern about the monkeys earlier, I think this would be a good time to do that.
Sure.
So just what do people think about the term monkeys for our kind of task assignment?
Oh, I got something. So I actually looked this up because I was really confused. Monkey on your back is a term about drug addiction, I guess. I mean, I really don't care whatsoever, but I had no idea.
It's used in, when talking about addiction to gambling, drugs, alcohol, a lot of things.
I mean, personally, I don't find it very offensive, but I mean, it's interesting to know. I think I could see how some people find it offensive.
I was just wondering if the concern that some people might find it triggering would be enough that we might want to try and find an alternative.
Or if not triggering, then maybe, sorry.
Okay, can we run a stack? Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
I can
so
run a stack.
I think Jose, you run the stack. You actually do run the stack. So
Right,
please do
right.
it. Yeah.
All right, so Emily, you're not going to say?
I'm sorry, I already said that.
Okay, fair enough. And I guess I would put myself back on the stack. Just say that, yeah, I think if not triggering, then at least trivializing. So, you know, I think the chance of it being triggering, I can't say for certain. I think it's probably fairly low, but I think as far as saying that like having to write a board summary is equivalent to, you know, getting over a heroin addiction and all the incumbent like mental and physical ordeals that goes through with that, you know, again, it's just a thought. We're not actually at this point voting
Cool, so-
on anything, so.
Okay, so I think we've pointed out that we may consider changing the term to something else. Can we get some ideas of what else it could be? does everybody understand the concept here?
Can you say what a
Okay.
monkey
That's what I was
is?
gonna ask.
Sure, great. So in the past, we've used it as a synonym for to-dos. It's sort of a cute way of doing it. It definitely never originated on anything to do with drugs. It was always a very benign thing. The idea that you have a monkey on your back being like something you carry around with you, not that's weighing on you. It's not a negative thing. It's like something that you've got to do, and we just used it that way
Right, time.
to be cute. Okay, so are there any motions to extend time?
Motion to extend time 5 minutes.
Okay, so is there a second? Okay, so, yeah, let's
I'd like to
hear
appeal that
ideas.
decision.
Eric wants to appeal my decision, is there a second, on your appeal?
Decision.
Okay, my decision to allow time to be
Oh,
extended.
yeah, I see.
Okay, great. So, in order to appeal my decision to allow time to be extended, we need, a majority of voting board reps. So, all in favor of, okay, so if you're in favor of appealing my decision, that means that you do not want time to be extended. So if that's the case for you, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? All in favor of the time extension? 1, 2, okay, so there are 7 board reps, 5 against and 2 for, so that discussion is over, thank you for bringing it up. And brainstorm is over. So now we will go through a meeting evaluation. During this time, you just offer your general feelings about the meeting.
You
Starting
actually
with-
missed
Oh,
Monkeys is next.
that was just like a Freudian skip. Okay, so I guess we do monkeys now. Yeah, so typically we would also have a monkeys person. Nick has done it in the past, thank you very much, but I don't know if there were many monkeys here. Did anybody catch any to-dos? Yes,
How
Eric?
about Coco when they read the next agenda to find a better term?
Certainly.
Elena has to run everything simulation.
Sure, oh, good point, thanks, Nick.
So what?
You have to work with the author of the jacuzzi
Oh,
proposal to form a reconciliation meeting. Yeah,
So actually, maybe she just answered the question I was about to ask, but, so as far as to-dos, that's how I understood monkey
Yeah,
before too.
it is.
So the only thing that I knew of was like Elaine has to, according to
Elena,
our, well, this
Elena, yeah.
pardon me, Elena is going to go into a
We'll have name
reconciliation meeting
cards.
with, I'm not
And-
sure
and
who
whomever
the
else-
person that was introducing the jacuzzi.
it was finance committee.
Or someone. So
Yeah.
that counts as a monkey, right?
Yeah, and so Nick mentioned that just now.
Okay.
Yep, cool. Anything else? Yeah,
I don't know, Coco or somebody has to make sure we get everything done with the staff contract so we can finally bring it back.
somebody has to buy a frame to,
Yeah, well, yeah.
commemorate the
Well,
signing
that's
of that happened a week ago. Woo! Great, thanks everybody. Meeting evaluation, so I already introduced this and we're actually gonna do it now, so starting with Tyler.
I mean, I think it's pretty informative.
Cool, thanks. Nick?
Maya, you did a great job
Thank you.
orchestrating people's questions and stuff. That was a good job.
It's really good.
Very educational.
I think that even though it's like a mock meeting, and that monkeys may seem trivial, it's important to remember that just because we don't have a personal problem with it, that it's something that can be easily changed and that we should work on.
I thought it was useful, educational. Pass.
Yeah, I think it was generally a really good meeting. I do think that it should be, because it was a mock meeting, sometimes we got a little out of order as far as who was supposed to be talking, the person who was running the stack. So it's a good thing to be very conscious of going forward, who is actually running the stack, who is actually, at what point, and who's actually in order to talk.
I thought same comment as what you just said, it was he was like talking and everything, but otherwise, I thought it was a good meeting.
I think that Coco needs to do a better job vetting proposals because the jacuzzi proposal wasn't ready.
I thought it was very helpful in just kind of seeing how meetings are run, and I appreciate everyone's patience with showing us how things go.
The meeting got a little hectic. I appreciate Maya's efforts to both keep us on track, but also maintain flexibility to let things be explained.
Yeah, I
thought it was a good meeting. I thought I did a good job explaining things. I got confused quite a number of times, but most of those times my confusion went away. So,
Great. Yeah, I thought it was a good meeting, some healthy discussion, some unforeseen discussion, which always comes up, and I really appreciate it. I'll say more during pine cones. So as we went over in our presentation on board process, pine cones are our way of throwing twinkles at somebody specifically. It could be anybody in the organization. Occasionally, we'll also have somebody from outside of the organization whose work or behavior was in some way relevant to the ICC. And the reason it's called pine cones is kind of self-evident. We've got our logo, it's the twin pines. That's also common among all cooperatives. And so pine cones are things that fall from pine trees, if I'm not mistaken, and they're tokens of gratitude. And we also pair this with announcements because it's just sort of exhausting to go around, 3 or 4 times. And so if you've got pine cones, you can say them, and then immediately following, you can say, oh, hey, come to Mish House's party on Friday. So, Tyler again, take it away.
Yes.